President Trump is a typical businessman, an entrepreneur, one that is always looking forward. To me, I consider it a curse. Really, I consider it a curse for me personally, because I can't sit still. It's hard for me to enjoy a moment because I'm always thinking of what is next. I'm thinking about, is this in fact what God has intended for me? Is this in fact where I need to be? Is there something out there that God is laying before me that I haven't seen? From a secular perspective, and as a business person, is there a better way? Could I make more money? Could I grow faster? Could I expand faster? Could I be doing more things? Could I be diversifying more? On and on it goes. President Trump's always looking ahead. They can't, it's not that they don't understand it. They're not capable of understanding it. They can't imagine it. Number one, President Trump has the burden of dealing with 535 people on Capitol Hill that are politicians. If they were capable of doing what he's doing, they wouldn't be politicians. They're not capable of thinking what's next 2 weeks from now. They pretend like they are, but they really aren't. And they're not capable of seeing the unintended consequence of what they're doing, more than out one day. I believe that one of the biggest problems we have in Washington is the inability to understand or even to work up some sort of hypothesis on what the unintended consequences are and how they're going to impact what it is we're trying to accomplish. They can't think like that. If they did, we'd have a much more effective and efficient government. And it's why bureaucracies are not very efficient, because they get filled with bureaucrats who are only thinking about themselves, number one, and only thinking beyond that about their particular situation that they've been given to do. And they become very single-minded very quickly. How many times have you heard me say the government can't juggle more than one ball at a time? President Trump's dealing with a national health crisis. He was working the phones all weekend long with OPEC and Russia, trying to get a deal done. He's been working that deal. At the same time, he has been making phone calls to see what we can do from a ventilator standpoint to other countries and how we can help them. At the very same time, he's been talking to his economic council, thinking about, all right, how are we going to get this jump started? What are we going to do? When are we going to run out of money? Are we going to run out of money? And what are we going to do about it? It's his nature. It's what he does. He thinks he can juggle more than one ball at a time. We don't have any politicians that can do that. I know I'm making stereotypical statements now. I get that. And of course we do. Of course we have a remnant. We know we have a remnant, but it is a remnant that it grows smaller every election cycle of politicians that can do anything. I think one of the most comical things that you would see is a corporate America hiring a politician after they come out of office. They don't do that. There is a couple areas I won't go into it because I can't go into it without sounding mean, but there are probably 3 areas of the world where big businesses aren't going to hire somebody for a big job coming out of those 3 areas. Politicians are one of them. They hire a politician because they need to have somebody that knows their way around Washington. They hire a politician, give him a nice title, but in reality, he's just a lobbyist for that company. The world of academia will hire politicians. It looks good. As people are looking, well, we got the former so-and-so, congressman, senator, that was in charge of this committee and that committee. They'll hire because They're academics. All they, they've got to teach and, be very academic. Look, it's the way it is. If politicians had as much business savvy and sense that President Trump has in his little finger, we'd be all a lot better off. And the vast majority of them don't. I'm not saying they all don't, but the vast majority don't. But there is a remnant, and we, more so than anybody else, should know what God can do with a remnant. And God can do an amazing work with a remnant, an amazing work with a remnant. So we need to understand that. We need to understand that God still has a remnant that can and will, when the time is right in God's eyes, to go to work. I'm sure. Hey, remember to click the subscribe button right here on the screen. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when new content is added. And more importantly than anything, you don't want to miss all 3 live hours of Financial Issues every day from 9 to noon. And you can watch it on FISM.tv. That's FISM.tv.